I've got 2 of these filing cabinets and I'm gonna give it an industrial rust effect. I'm really excited to do this and then put 2 of them together and use it sort of as a tabletop for a little art room. So join me, follow along, and I'll show you how easy it is to transform this piece using our beautiful color Ocean in Alchemy. I'm Jennylyn, creator of Fusion Mineral Paint, and today we are working with Alchemy in this beautiful bright color called Ocean. It's going to be a real pop of color. I can't wait for you to see it. Now, in terms of prepping this piece, it's pretty slick, so you just want to make sure that it's free of dirt and grease. So using our TSP alternative, giving it a wipe down, making sure it's dry before going ahead with your paint. Now, I'm going to be using a roller because it's such a flat surface and I can get really good coverage with this. This roller is a 10 centimeter from Stahlmeister. It's a beautiful quality roller, lint-free, and it's going to have a really nice smooth application. So let's go ahead, get started with our Ocean color. Now you'll notice that Alchemy is a little bit thicker to work with. Gives you some really, really nice coverage. And then I like to load up the roller, really let the paint soak all through it. And then I kind of almost wipe off the excess. There's not too much on there. All right. And then just roll it across your surface. Now some rollers will leave a bit of an orange peel effect behind. These don't do that. They're a really, really fine quality. And the best part is you can reuse them over and over again. So you can wash them out and you don't have to toss them. So they're not the cheapest rollers on the market, but when you're using them over and over again, they actually become very economical and less expensive than the other ones that you buy, use, and throw away. And it really comes down to the quality of the material and how these are made as to why you can reuse them over and over again. And you get a super, super smooth, flawless finish. The roller just makes the job so much easier. And you don't have to worry about any brush strokes. So I'm gonna put a little bit too much on here and show you what happens. If you've got too much, it's just kind of a slide. See the slide that's happening? Also, if you're putting too much pressure on. So you want to maybe take some of that paint off or just let the roller roll across and do the job for you. Now the first coat, you're gonna see through it. It's not gonna be solid, and that's totally to be expected. That second coat is really gonna have some amazing coverage. So the reason why I'm putting on a nice, smooth, fine finish is that typically filing cabinets are metal. Now, this roller is fabulous for getting a nice smooth finish. However, with Alchemy, you can definitely get texture. So if you use, say, too much paint on your roller, for example, like really just a ton, and you leave that excess behind and it dries like that, then you're going to get some texture. Still smooths out fairly nicely, but that orange peel effect that a lot of people talk about and are worried about is typically because you just have too much paint on that surface. So you're gonna wanna take it off. Even this would be too much paint, so you gotta work that paint back off the roller and spread it around. It's just too much paint will create more texture. But if that's the look you're going for, then that's a really great tip for how to get texture. Yeah, there's too much paint too here because it's sliding across. Like, look at that, the slide. Not good. So there's too much paint on here. Typically I would take a piece of paper and just get all the excess off if I can't get it off onto here. But I'll probably be able to get rid of most of it on the bottom of this piece here and then smooth it all out nicely. So now I'll go back up to here that I don't really have any paint on my roller. Still too much, it's sliding a bit. Not too much pressure on there. All right, it looks really nice and smooth from the side here. Really, really beautiful. Now, you may be sort of in that panic mode when you got that first coat on. You can really see through it, so you think you might see some orange peel. But right now, when I look at the side, it's perfectly smooth. It's just transparency that you're seeing now to the undercolor. So that second coat is going to go on really, really nice, give you great coverage, and you won't see through it anymore. I'm going to use my Stylmeister 1 brush. It's a beautiful brush to use for a nice smooth finish, because again, this is supposed to be like a metal cabinet, so I want it to look nice and smooth. Now, brushing and rolling, you're going to have a bit of a different coverage that way, so it looks a little bit thinner here, and that's totally okay. It's that second coat that's going to go on and really give it that extra coverage. I'm going to paint the metal and everything, and then I'm going to come in afterwards and give it a bit of a rust effect with some other colors. And it's kind of cool. You've got some time to work with it, so if you're getting the paint in there, then go ahead, smooth it all out again. But if you want to keep that texture, if you want to add texture, you can just stipple. There's all kinds of things that you can do to create texture or remove texture with the paint. As you're painting, it's really important to take a look around and make sure that there's no drips. So I'll kind of walk around my piece, look at it at different angles. If there's anything that's running or dripping, you want to get it now while it's still wet, because it's not fun to sand that out afterwards once it's all dry. I wanted to explain to you a little bit about when you see a thicker stroke versus a thinner one. So something like that. It's really about how much paint you have on the surface. The coverage on this thicker stroke looks great. This one, you might think, oh, there's brush strokes here. It's just a thinner application and you're seeing that underlayer come through. I would prefer you have this as your first coat versus this, because if you look really closely on an angle here, all I see are brush strokes all the way across. On this, there's not a single brush stroke in terms of actual physical texture, but visually, because it's see-through, it looks like it is. 2 coats on that, it'll be super smooth and solid coverage. That, when it dries, will look like it's just a big brush stroke all the way across. So it's really about how much paint you're using on your brush and your tools and your application and the pressure that you apply. The first coat is now dry, so I'm gonna go ahead with my second coat, and you're really gonna see what I was talking about with the change in the coverage on that second coat. A very thin application, and you immediately get that beautiful, solid finish to it. Super stunning. And this is so smooth using this Stylmeister 1 brush. Let me get into here. Beauty. Gorgeous. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put the second coat on the rest of the piece, and then come back and we'll be doing a rust technique. I've got 2 coats on here, and this beautiful ocean color in Alchemy is just stunning. It's quite the pop. Now we're gonna make this look really vintage and rustic, kind of industrial rust look. For just get started though, I'm gonna paint this hardware. It was silver originally, so I'm gonna be using our metallic bronze in the Fusion Mineral Paint with our tiny little Stylmeister brush. Super cute, really nice fine point tip, perfect for small applications such as this. And I'll start on the top one here. We're gonna make it look like this is actually metal. I do not have the finest hand, so if it's not perfect, it's okay, because we're gonna be making this look like a rusted finish afterwards. We're gonna kind of grunge it up a little bit with some different colors and having some sort of a rust look here. So if you get a little bit on this surface, it's not the end of the world. But having the right tools, like this little brush, definitely helps to make it a much nicer application. And the coverage is just fantastic with this little metallic. The bronze is such a pretty color. The paint sticks really well to clean metal, so as long as there's no grease on it or dirt, you don't really have to worry. You can just apply the paint to it and you can get a whole new look. So really fantastic tip. if you've got any dressers with hardware that you don't like the color, you can just paint over it. And we've got a stunning selection of different colors of metallics as well. This is turning out quite pretty. Really happy with it. Something that's really special and unique about our metallics is that they are filled with gorgeous mica pigments. So a lot of times a metallic paint will just sort of have a shinier finish to it. This one actually has a bit of a sparkle to it as well. So it's really, really stunning, especially when you show the light on it. Quite pretty. So I'm gonna go ahead, finish the rest of these, and then we'll get started on our rust effect. Now we're gonna have fun creating this industrial rust effect. With just a couple of different colors and a mister, we're gonna create a really grungy rust. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna create the rust effect using these 4 colors here. We've got a black, a really fun bright pink color here, a sort of terracotta color, and then a yellow. So really simple. When you blend these together, it's gonna kind of create that crusty grunge effect. What I'm gonna do is spray the surface first, just around the handle where I'm going to be applying. And then I'm just gonna dip into some different colors. I missed it. And now it's gonna kind of run down onto the next one, and we're gonna get sort of that grungy, rustic look. That's really cool how that's separated there. Beautiful. A fun tip for a really cool technique, such as like a crackled look, is to apply the paint and then sort of fast dry it. So when I'm adding a little bit of water to the surface here, it's kind of reactivating that paint. So hitting it with the hairdryer, I'm getting these really cool cracks, and I'm loving the look of this because it's super vintage and rustic. Now I've got those 3 colors up here that are not super blended together for the rust, so I can blend those a little bit more, but I kind of like the pops of color, but typically our rust would be more in this sort of brown range that's down here. So I'm gonna keep working on that, and I'm gonna put some sort of on the sides and then a little bit lower, and just kind of work it all around to make it look like a really rustic vintage piece. I'm having a lot of fun experimenting with the different ways of creating that sort of rust look and having the water spray on it and having some fall down. So with just different techniques and different amounts of paint on, spray before, spray after, you're just getting a different look. So I'm gonna continue kind of sporadically doing it on the entire piece. And then I'm thinking after, I'm probably gonna add an aging wax, just another layer to sort of give it more antiquing, and can also kind of blend things a little bit as well. And it's just gonna help us get that really cool industrial rust look.